Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and today we're looking at Battlefield 1's newest sidearm, which is dropped with the Apocalypse DLC. That sidearm is the Revolver Mk VI. I'll be giving you a basic rundown of the stats, my personal experience with the weapon, an overall review, and rounding out by answering, is it good? I've already covered all of the primary weapons that drop with the Apocalypse DLC, and I'll link to those in the description below and in my pinned comment if you hadn't already seen them. I also put out reviews, guides, tutorials, and things of that nature on a regular basis, so if you're new around here, it would be great if you'd consider subscribing if you end up enjoying this video, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get around the currently broken YouTube subscription boxes. And now, let's begin with the title of this video, Fistful of Death. Does a 2-shot kill at 199 rounds per minute sound good to you? Would you then like that to fit into one single deadly fist? Good. Fistful of Death it is then. Now let's get to some stats, and I'll be using simthic.com for most of these as they provide far more detailed information than you can find within Battlefield 1. And in fact, some of the stats will actually be different from the ones you see in the game itself because DICE just don't seem to have them quite right sometimes. This will all help us to further analyse the strengths and weaknesses of the Revolver Mk VI. This video will also pretty much just compare this weapon with other revolvers and heavy hitting sidearms rather than the smaller ones such as the Frommerstop, because they're essentially a completely different breed. Now let's kick off the stats with damage. The Mk VI hits for a maximum of 53 and a minimum of 15. That is pretty heavy max damage. As a point of reference, as it's so popular, the Mars automatic pistol can hit for a maximum of 40 damage. And the overall damage numbers of the Mk VI are pretty much as you would expect from a revolver. It's equal with the auto revolver, and we'll be using that weapon as a comparison point quite a lot today. But we do also need to mention that, while the Mk VI has many sidearms beaten for raw damage output, it isn't quite top of the pile. Weapons such as the Bulldog and the Howder actually can also hit for 53 max damage at a faster rate of fire, standing at 257 rounds per minute. That's pretty impressive, but they also have their own drawbacks, of course. The beauty of the Mk VI is how balanced it is across its stats as a whole when it comes to close quarters slaying. It's very similar to the auto revolver in many ways, which is a fantastic sidearm, although the auto revolver can actually fire a little faster at 224 RPM, but it's then only available within the medic class. The Mk VI can be used across all classes, and this is a massive strength. But we can't ignore the Obres if we're talking about damage dealing, as that thing can hit for 100 max damage. However, it is then balanced out by a rate of fire of just 38. So by now, you're probably getting the impression that sidearms basically have many strengths and weaknesses, and thus a lot will come down to personal preference, in potentially more subtle ways than with primary weapons. With that in mind, let's focus in on what the Mk VI is all about and who is going to really benefit from selecting it. Well, it's a close-range destroyer. It absolutely decimates people who get up in your face. 2 shots from within 10 meters and they're back to the respawn screen. So you can play very, very aggressive with this thing and know that if you can get close enough, you're likely to beat most primary weapons. The Mk VI therefore is not for ranged fights. That 2-shot kill can go as high as a 7-shot kill from about 36 meters out. In fact, the Mk VI begins its damage drop-off at about 7 meters and hits its absolute minimum at about 39. To solidify the point of it not being a ranged weapon, the Mk VI has a bullet velocity of 230 meters per second. This is the same as the auto revolver and a bit faster than the number 3 revolver, but the Nagant revolver has 335 and the Mars is as fast as 530. So you're not going to be picking people off across the map very often at all with the Mk VI. The basic spread stats of the revolver archetype also see to that in most cases. Instead, this is your body dropper, your damage dealer at close range if you're a scout, or your lethal backup as an assault who needs to reload their primary, your close range rushing monster. You get the idea. The Mk VI also has your fairly standard 6 rounds available per reload, a decent reload time, and recoil stats that at first look like a drawback, but look closer and you begin to get the full picture. It has higher upwards recoil than most competitors, but upwards recoil doesn't need to be a big deal in some cases. This is because it has strong horizontal recoil stats for a revolver. So let the sights settle again and you're pretty much right in line for your next shot without much adjustment. Hipfire is key the vast majority of the time, and this also makes it far easier to negate the upwards recoil. So, is it good? Yes. I personally think it's fantastic. I'm a convert here, as I used to always use the smaller sidearms, but I've loved my time with the Revolver Mk6. I'm likely to be using it a whole lot more. It won't be for everyone, but if you enjoy up close damage dealing and you're solid with your hipfire, then you're likely to do some real work with this thing. But what do you think? Are you excited for the Revolver Mk6? And if you already have it, are you enjoying it? Let me know in the comment section below. Now we need to quickly shoot over to the Board of Awesome to show our respect to the fantastic people who choose to support the channel on Patreon. A big thank you to a close personal friend of mine this time who's new on the board, Mr. Luke Walsh. Thank you, mate, much appreciated. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, then the link to the Patreon page will be in the description below, plus in my pinned comment, where you can support the channel for as little as $1 a month if you so wish. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos while the YouTube subscription boxes are kinda broken, and feel free to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.